Hi, Sam at sametphotography.com. Today's video is going to be about beginner photography equipment. The first thing you need to decide is what kind of photography do you want to do? You want to do macro, portrait, landscape, sports? It's going to have a direct correlation as to what type of equipment you're going to purchase. But the first thing you're going to need to do is purchase a camera body. There's two major manufacturers out there. There's Canon and there's Nikon. It's a personal preference as to what you purchase, but just remember that once you purchase a Canon or a Nikon, you're going to be stuck with that camera because the lenses are not interchangeable. So do your research and figure out which camera is best for you. Go to the store, pick one up, hold it, touch it. Does it fit in your hand? How does it feel? Is it built well? Is it a magnesium body? What is best for you? What kind of photography do you want to do? Nikon, in my opinion, takes better still photography, as I use both Canon and Nikon, and I feel that the Nikon does better image quality, whereas for the price, whereas Canon does better video. So, like I said, it's a personal preference. I shoot Nikon, and it's up to you what you decide to purchase. What you need to purchase in addition to camera body are lenses, but we'll talk about that last. The next thing you're going to need to buy is a tripod. Buy a sturdy tripod. Take your camera to the store, put it on top of the tripod, wiggle it around, shake it, make sure it's built, sturdy. There's a lot of tough carbon fiber tripods out there now for cheap. They range anywhere from $20 to $1,000. But just make sure you don't buy a cheap tripod, because if you're going to buy a $1,000 camera and put it on that $20 tripod, and the wind blows and blows your camera over and smashes your camera, you just lost out. So make sure you buy a good tripod that's sturdy. Go to the store, touch it, feel it, make sure it fits your camera and it's built well. You're also going to need a flash. Most cameras come with a on-camera flash, but it's limited to the capabilities and the potential. It's good for a little bit of dim light and stuff like that, but if you're in real low light, or if you have you need fill flash or bounce flash, and we'll talk about all that in another video, but you got to get a good flash, off-camera flash. This is the SB700. I think it costs about $300. They range anywhere from $50 to $500, depending upon if it's used, new, manufacturer. The SB900 costs, I think, $500, or 910 costs $500. But you're going to have to learn how to use a flash, and purchase a flash and get acquainted with it. Memory cards. Memory cards come in different capacities, 1 gigabyte all the way to, I think now there's 64 gigabytes. And it all depends on the kind of photography that you're doing, whether you're shooting JPEG or RAW, and that's another conversation in on its own. But in a 16 gigabyte memory card, it can hold approximately 6,000 JPEG exposures. Whereas if you're shooting RAW, it captures only like 400, 450. That's because RAW captures all the information that you shoot at the time, and it makes it easier to edit. Editing software. If you shoot RAW, you're going to need editing software, or some type of software that can convert RAW images. If you plan on becoming a professional, you're going to have to learn how to use editing software to decrease exposures, white balance. But that's a whole other video that we'll get into later on. So there's also a lot of free downloads that you can purchase, or free downloads that you can get online, and also things that you can purchase like Adobe Lightroom 4, which I use. Lens filters. My argument with lens filters is, why put an inexpensive piece of glass in front of your expensive piece of glass? I've used lens filters in the past. I've taken lens filters off to clean them and still notice some dust behind the lens filter. I've seen lens filters crack and scratch the lens. I personally don't use lens filters. The only time I would recommend using lens filters is when you're shooting maybe at the beach and it's windy and there's dust and sand blowing everywhere. That's the only time, but I never keep lens filters on my cameras. It's my own personal preference, and you can do whatever you want. Carry bags. just like tripods, go out, touch it, feel it, make sure it's, you know, padded, it has the, you know, it's not, you know, falling apart, you know, because you don't want to put like all your thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment inside a bag, inside of a plastic bag, and just let it fall all over the place. You want to get a good camera bag, something sturdy, built well, has good padding, and most importantly, if you plan on buying a lot of equipment, don't buy a camera or a bag for one camera and one lens if you plan on buying 5 more lenses and 2 more cameras. Buy a bag that you can potentially fill with all the equipment that you want to purchase. Most importantly, lenses. I say this for last. Lenses, there's 2 types of lenses out there. There's prime lenses or fixed, and there's zoom or telephoto. Prime lenses has a fixed focal length. This is a 50mm f1.8. It doesn't zoom in or out. It's a fixed focal. But it has the ability to capture low lights, and the image quality is a lot sharper and a lot better than variable zoom lenses. This is a telephoto lens. This has a focal range of 70 to 200, and the aperture is f2.8, which is, this is a great lens, by the way. But those are the 2 different types of lenses. Now let's talk about the type of photography that you want to do. If you want to do landscape photography, you're going to need something of a wide angle lens, like somewhere, you know, 11 millimeters to 16 millimeters. Tokina makes a great one, which I'm going to purchase very soon. But you're going to need some sort of wide angle lens in order to capture lakes, mountains, behind the lakes, trees, something of that nature. If you're doing macro photography, there's a lot of different macro lenses out there. This is one of the macro lenses. You need something that's going to be able to capture images from either short distances, or you can zoom into those distances and it captures sharp pictures of whatever you're capturing, bugs, flowers. If you're doing sport photography, you're going to need a variable zoom lens or a telephoto lens. Reason being is that, you know, your kid's playing soccer, you're not going to be able to run out to the field 10 feet away and take a picture of him as he's kicking the ball. You're going to have to be able to stand on the sidelines or the bleachers and zoom in to capture action in motion. And lastly, portrait photography. You need a good prime lens for portrait photography. Something sharp, somewhere around the 50 to 85 millimeter, that creates a good bokeh, which bokeh is the blur of the background. It's the depth of field, and we'll go into that in other videos. That is pretty much everything that you need to know to go purchase a camera and in-camera equipment. In later videos, we're going to be going over the aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, how to use those in tandem to maximize the potential of your camera and your camera equipment. But I hope this helps with choosing what kind of equipment that you need for your photography needs. Until next time, Sam at samphotography.com. Talk to you soon.